Foundations of Amateur Radio. When you operate your station portable, either for fun or for points, you might be surprised to learn that getting on air and making noise isn't quite as simple as bringing a radio and turning it on. Aside from the need for a reliable power supply, batteries, generator, solar panels, or a magic main socket, there is the requirement for bringing enough gear to get on air, but not so much that setting up takes days, or even hours. The decisions you make are influenced by where you decide to operate from. If you want to stay in your car, the location is not nearly as influential as when you decide to find a park where you want to have some fun. Finding a location is not a trivial process. If you only plan to get on air for an hour to activate a park, you pretty much get what you find. But if you plan to be on air during a contest for the day, other things start to come into focus. For example, what are the toilet facilities like? Are we digging a hole, or is there a public facility nearby? Depending on the time of year, the temperature and weather will influence your choice. For reasons I'm still unsure about, most of the contests in Australia are in the middle of summer, so wearing long sleeves, sunscreen and a hat is the starting point for your adventure. Sitting in the midday sun for any period of time, absent a breeze, is not fun, so shade becomes a requirement, not a nice to have. Mind you, at least we don't need to contend with meters of snow. Well, not where I am. In other words, what works for me might not work for you. Finding locations is tricky. You can drive around, consult satellite maps, look for desirable attributes, and still be rudely surprised when you get to the point of turning on your gear. One of the best lessons I learnt was operating from my car during a contest that awarded points for operating in as many different locations as possible. I used a satellite map to find a location within each boundary and then drove from point to point. If I recall, I set up in over 30 locations across a 48-hour period. It taught me a great deal about discovering high-voltage power lines on a satellite map, the impact of trains on your HF radio, the difference that geology has on your antenna, and what a safe location looks like and what the typical hallmarks are for a scary one. My most recent discovery tool is a public toilet map. It's not perfect, the user interface is horrid, and for some reason it needs to navigate from the Timor Sea to each toilet, but those issues aside, it does help eliminate locations that lack facilities. I am in the process of cross-referencing the Parks on the Air map with the toilet map to see if there are some nearby parks that have shade, a loo, and the opportunity to park nearby, to reduce the amount of lugging required for the gear we intend to bring to the next field day. So, what are your tips for finding a place to operate? What kinds of things have you learnt that influence what choices you make? Before I go, one pro tip. Keep a record of where you actually operate and, whilst you're at it, what you used and not. You can thank me later. I'm Onno, Victor Kilo 6, Foxtrot Lima, Alpha Bravo.